Hi, welcome into the third installment of Half Hour Huddle. I'm Aaron Suttles, Director of Content for Yea Alabama, and this is a series we've been doing where we're talking to the biggest names and student athletes at the University of Alabama. We've had Dallas Baker, we've had Javon Quinterly, and tonight, coming up shortly, we're going to talk to Tyler Booker, offensive lineman at Alabama. Want to say a quick message, quick update. People have been asking about the youth shirts available in the Yea Alabama merchandise store. They are on order and they should be arriving next week. Just keep plugged into our social accounts and we will show you when those are available. And make sure you also check out with Father's Day coming up. It may not arrive for Father's Day, but I'm a father. I have a father-in-law and he has asked for some Yea Alabama merch. We were able to make that happen. We got hats on there. There are t-shirts. New stuff being added all the time. So make sure you check out the merch store. And let's just bring in Tyler Booker, who's our third guest on Half Hour Huddle. A lot of people, when they think about football, they're drawn to the skill positions, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the wide receivers. Not me. I think the most important part of a football team is the offensive line. That's why I'm so excited to talk to Tyler Booker today. Tyler, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And I know that you said all the other skill positions are sexy too. But I feel like the O-line, we can be sexy too, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the game.
I like that attitude. Well, let me first ask you, I've always wondered, we hear about, I don't know that it started yet, but during the summertime, we always hear about that. We talk about the skill position players. They always do 7-on-7. What is an offensive lineman doing while the rest of the guys are doing 7-on-7?
When the rest of the guys are doing 7-on-7, us as an offensive line, we're just working on our craft, banking a lot of pass fundamental because as the game grows, as time goes on, blitzes get more intricate. So we just really hone in on pass fundamental. And then I'll be lying to you if we didn't take a break every now and then, look at the 7-on-7 going on.
Well, I think a lot of us, media is the worst at it, but I think fans from sometimes are guilty of this too. They look at a play and they think a certain lineman may have missed an assignment, but certain times it takes all five guys, right? If one guy is off, it can make the entire line look bad, right?
Yeah, offensive line, you just got to play as a unit. It's a unit. Everybody has to come together, and we're just trying to come together day by day to be the best that we can be. And that chemistry helps so much when you're on the line, and when you're at Neyland Stadium and you can't hear what's going on, but you have that relationship with the person so you guys have those nonverbal cues.
Yeah, and that just takes reps, right? I mean, obviously you got to get the five right guys starting on the offensive line, but then how long does that chemistry take to build where it really feels like I know I can trust the guy on my right or my left, and we can have those verbal cues and and trust in the guy next to you? How long does that take?
It takes a good while. And that's why I'm glad our coaches, they're always rotating us, making sure we play next to different people. And something that we're doing as a team this offseason, we're doing a lot better with building relationships within each position room, but overall a team as well. So it takes a while to build that chemistry, to build that trust, but with the 7-on-7s that we're in now, the lifts that we're in, and as we go into fall camp, that chemistry is just continuing to build. So by the time we hit Middle Tennessee, we're all locked in on all cylinders, ready to go attack, ready to come together and dominate the opponent.
When an offensive lineman comes out of high school and they get to college, obviously they got to add size, they got to add strength and weight. How do you know, and who do you work with to determine what weight you like playing at best? Is that just a personal thing where you feel like you have the most quickness at a certain weight, or how do you know when you need to add and when you need to shed?
It's really a feel thing, and then it's really so as soon as you come in, they'll do a body scan and see how much body fat percentage you have. And shout out to Miss Amy. Miss Amy did a great job with me. She does a great job with everybody, but she did a great job with me. I came in pretty heavy. I came in at like 365, and that was in January. And working with Miss Amy, staying disciplined, I got all the way down to 315. But as the summer went along, I built after all the fat I lost, I started building that back up in muscle. So just as a high schooler going into college, you're going to notice the difference in speed, strength, and IQ right away. So you have to put yourself in the best position to be able to compete with the guys on that next level. So I just really had to focus on getting quicker, and I couldn't move that fast at 365. So got down to 315, started moving a lot faster, and then I really focused on my training and how I recovered after I trained to really continue to build strength.
So it really is a blend of you want to have the most, strength as possible to move people, but you also want to have quickness too, right?
Oh, of course. I told Coach Reese if he needed to put me at big tight end like they did with Randolph, I'll go catch a few passes.
So you heard it here first on Yea Alabama. When we see Tyler Booker lined up at tight end this year, you heard it here first in June. Tyler, we're going to take some questions now from our subscribers. We got a question. You mentioned offensive line chemistry, and I think we have a question about that. Bill B wants to know, what's the chemistry of the offensive line like this year? And do you guys hang together off the field? And is that part of that chemistry?
Oh, yeah, we hang with each other off the field all the time. And the chemistry is great. We got a great group last year, but it's even better this year because it's the mix of guys that we have. Everybody's all around the same age. There's Darren Dalcourt. He's the oldest, but he's still one of the boys, So we hang out with each other all the time, and I feel like that's why we did really well in the spring. That's why we we really dominated the spring like we did, because if we weren't at the facility eating together, we were in my room kicking it, playing a video game, or at Dalcourt's house. We were just always together. We're always together now. Whenever we do something, we'll just hit the group chat and be like, hey, we're going here. You guys should meet us there. And then we just make an effort about hanging out outside of the facility, because that's when the relationships are really built.
Now, we've established that offensive line can be sexy, but I've always thought that as a collective, as a group position, that the offensive line has to be smart. It may be the smartest position on the field. Maybe you can throw quarterbacks in there too, but you guys have so much that you have to communicate, as you mentioned, sometimes in raucous environments. Do you think the offensive line is the smartest group on the field?
I do think the offensive line is the smartest position on the field, because so much can happen so fast. You have to be able to react on the fly. I feel like, other than the quarterback, obviously, when you had three people going away that you didn't expect, you still have to do your job. You still have to be able to respond. You still have to be able to make the play happen, because if the play doesn't go right, even if you're in the wrong play call for the defensive formation, for the stunt, you still have to be able to perform, So I feel like it's one of the hardest positions. You have to be the smartest at offensive line, because you're doing algebra in a fist fight.
I've never heard that line before, but I'm going to steal it. It's like doing algebra in a fist fight. That's a brilliant. That's why I say the offensive line is smartest. That's a great line. Let's go to another question. What other offensive linemen have impressed you this offseason?
I don't mean to be cliche when I say this, but all the incoming freshmen, just because they're pros, you really don't have to stay on them. And if they're doing something wrong, you get on them once and they go move on, and they continue to improve. So I'm really excited for their future, and it really means a lot more to me, because this last offseason I took pride in how much I recruited them. Like I think 4 out of the 5 I hosted on their official visits. So I took that seriously though. So it's like they're don't take this the wrong way, guys, but they're my children. So it's exciting to raise them up, So I'm impressed with all of them. And also a guy that hasn't gotten a lot of praise yet, but he sure will after this season, is Terrence Ferguson. Ferg, yes, that's one of my best friends on the team, and the switch flipped for him this offseason. He got his body right. He had a great spring, and I'm excited to see what he does on the field this year. But all the incoming freshmen, but most importantly, Ferg as well, as a guy that's been here, I'm excited to see what he does this year, because I know nothing but great things are going to be coming from him.
Yeah, I've heard a lot. I've heard his name a lot since the spring, and you heard it here first again. Tyler Booker, not only a great offensive lineman, a great recruiter. What's your recruiting pitch when you get a guy and coaches say, "Hey, hang out with this guy," and you got him? How do you reel him in? You got him on the line, but how do you reel him in?
I tell them about my recruiting experience. I tell them how I came to the conclusion of coming to Alabama. So my commitment story, this is when I knew I was coming to Alabama. It's pretty funny. My mom, I love you to death, Mom, but she prior to my success in football, she wasn't really schooled on the game. So a story about her before I say this is I remember when I was a sophomore in high school and I had just got an offer from the University of Georgia. And so I called my mom. I'm very excited. I'm like, Mom, I just got an offer from Georgia. And she goes, Georgia? Who's Georgia? You talking about Georgia Tech? The University of Georgia? Georgia State? I was like, you know what, Mom, I'll call you back. I'll call you back. And then I'll call my dad because he understood what that meant to me. So for my mom to then be at the official visit dinner and say to me, Tyler, you're at, because I was at IMG Academy, she was like, you're at the pinnacle of football right now at being at IMG Academy. Why not just go to the pinnacle of college football? That makes the most sense for you. So when she said that, it blew my mind because first, wow, from the woman who didn't know what Georgia was, for her to be able to say that, but it also just made sense for me. And like, I just tell other guys who didn't go to big schools like me, it's like, this is the pinnacle of football. On all your other visits, you're going to see schools try to emulate what we have. Everybody's trying to chase us. Everybody's trying to be the standard, and the standard is Alabama.
Well, man, you got me sold. I'm ready. If I had any eligibility left, I'm too slow and I got a bad ankle, but you got me reeled in. Let's go to another question coming from a Yea Alabama subscriber. Tyler, is coming from Sharon. Is there any one player that you admired as a child and have strived to be like him on the football field? If so, who is it?
So there's a few. I'm a big NFL films. So when I was in elementary school, that's when NFL Network that was the beginning of it. So I really watched a lot of football lives, and a few got me in trouble. My favorite one of all time is Deacon Jones. So when I was playing Little League football, I would always head slap people, and the referees had to tell me to stop. But another one I really looked up to was Reggie White. I feel like that's one of my favorite players of all time, and just how he brought the game of football to another level. He's the father of the pass rush. You know, back in the day when he was coming up, he was I'm all about the bull rush. That's what the game was. But Reggie White, he was really the first one to start using moves, and the hump move, the legendary hump move that he had. And it's just, I used to play defensive line, so I have a great appreciation for the technique and the skills and the moves that defensive linemen use. So to see where all those moves came from, to see where they derived from, Reggie White is one of my favorites.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I remember seeing some film on him. One time a wide receiver got caught in his way, and it did not end well. He threw him about 5 yards back. So not smart. On that topic, well, let's go. Could you play tackle, or are you strictly interior offensive lineman?
I can play tackle as well. I just do whatever the team needs me to do to win, you know. And this past year, my mindset was just get on the field, because there is no substitute for experience. I was like, I want to get on the field to see how it is, and then once I could really understand how the game goes, that's when I could really truly dominate. Not saying my mindset was to dominate once I got on the field as early as I did, but I was just like, just get on the field, no matter where you have to go. If you need to learn how to play center, you do that. So I'm just happy to be on the field. I'm happy to be able to contribute for this amazing football team, to be able to contribute as a leader. But if Coach Saban said, hey, but we need you to play tackle, I'll go out to tackle. Hey, but we need you to kick. Will's leg is a little tight. I'll go kick. Whatever it takes for us to win, whatever it takes for us to reach our standard.
Now, I would like to see video of you kicking.
It won't be pretty, but if we needed it, I'll do my best.
You mentioned Reggie White's hump move. Is there a particular move that gives you the most problems? Is it a bull rush? I mean, you're inside, so you don't have to deal with the edge as much, unless they're stunting or coming inside on you. But is what particular thing gives you the most trouble?
Particular thing that gives me the most trouble is probably the like you said earlier, the inside move, and that's something I've been really focusing on the off season. I actually posted a video and it got a decent amount of views, and it's just me working on getting inside, reacting to get back inside, because that's the name of the game now. Put your fast guys, put the defensive fast guys on the offensive slow guys. I'm not slow, but that's how the game goes, you know. So I just had to really be ready to respond back inside, because I feel like there's only so much you could do there's only so much the defender could do when I'm in position. And going inside is one of those things. So once I stop them from going inside, that just eliminates however many moves they have left.
Yeah. On that note, you had a full season of seeing elite speed in Will Anderson. Do you ever feel sorry for an offensive lineman when Will's lined up for him? You're just like, that guy didn't know what's coming.
Very much so, because what people don't realize is Will is a very talented pass rusher. He's a freak athlete. So what he'll do, he has to do to win. So we often see him bull rush a lot. But when Will gets in his pass rush bag, it's a work of art. And then the thing that separates Will from everybody else in the country last year is his first step, his get off. Him and JC Latham will go back and forth in practice all the time about Will jumping off sides. And there would be sometimes when he would be off sides a few times, but most of the time it wouldn't be him off sides. That's just how fast his first step is.
Yeah, that offensive tackle's got to get that opposite foot back quickly so they can try to block him. Let's go to another question from Bill B. He wants to know, as an offensive lineman, you have a reputation as a dominant run blocker that plays through the whistle. Are you spending more time working on pass blocking this year?
Yeah, I have spent a lot of time on pass blocking. I feel like my run game was really well. I have to work on playing better with my hands, getting my hands inside. But pass protection, the game evolves so much, and the game is evolving to pass a lot more. And I did pretty well in one-on-one situations this past year, but I know I can do a lot better, and I need to be an eraser. So what that means in my eyes, whoever's lined up over me, just cancel them out of the stump, because Booker, he's got to go against Booker. And he's not getting past Booker. So what other matchups do we have to get to the quarterback? And I want the whole offensive line to be erasers.
You're coming
Excuse
up
me.
with lines tonight. I like it. I'm going to use a lot of this stuff going forward. And JM wants to know, there's been a lot of talk about Alabama being a more physical team, especially on the offensive line. How has the offensive line embraced that challenge this offseason?
We've embraced that challenge a whole lot during spring ball. Our favorite time of the day was team run, and that's when everybody in the vicinity knows that we're running the ball, and it's up to the defense to stop us. And that's when we really dominated. That's when we embraced the mindset of, we're going to be physical. We're going to punch you in the mouth, and we're going to make you like it, because you don't have no other choice. That's what's going to be happening all day long. And to be able to have that mindset against one of the best defenses in the nation, of our defense going to get some of the best D tackles in the nation, the best front seven in the nation, to be able to really sharpen iron with them, it meant a lot. And then it's always great. You got to be doing something right when Coach Saban has to restart the period, because we're beating up on the defense so bad. So we definitely embrace that mindset. And I'll give credit to Coach Wolf on that as well. He's very intense. Very intense. I call him the good kind of crazy. I love Coach Wolf. And he really motivates us to get out there and be physical and finish through plays. I mean, there's been days where Coach Saban said, all right, guys, they're still your teammates.
I think a lot of Alabama fans are very happy with that answer, because Alabama football was really built on being able to run and other teams not being able to stop it. You've been in those situations before. Is there anything more demoralizing for a defense than knowing what's coming and they can't stop it? I imagine that's an offensive lineman's dream.
It is. And what you just described is what happened during the second half of Ole Miss. When we were running the ball and they knew that they can't, there's no better feeling than hearing a stadium go from to nothing. Like, oh man, how are we going to stop this run? How are we going to stop Jace? How are we going to stop Jameer? You know, that was their mindset going during the second half of the Ole Miss game. You know, but that's our mindset going forward every time we step on the field. Of course, we love our wide receivers as an offensive line. We love our wide receivers. We love our quarterback. But, man, we just hope every play is run. 3rd and 20, we'll pick it up.
Man, that's awesome. You mentioned Coach Wolford, and everyone that I've talked to for a couple of years mentioned that he's got as you said, he's got a mentality about him. He's got a demeanor, and that sort of breeds that into his offensive lineman. You worked with him last year, your first year on campus. What were your impressions of Coach Wolford?
He's everything that I wanted out of a college football coach. You know, he really knows how to coach people individually. He knows what it takes to get people riled up. So not everybody's a rah-rah guy. Like, come on, what are you doing? He knows, like, okay, you got to do this better. He knows how to talk to us individually, and he knows how to get the most out of us at all times. And he's very intelligent, and he's open to our feedback. He played offensive line back in college, so he knows what it's like to be able to give feedback to your coach on, okay, coach, I like this drill because of this, or hey, coach, let's do this drill today. I struggle with this in practice, and I feel like that's what makes our relationship with Coach Wolf so strong. Like the fact that he really truly listens to us and he goes to bat for us every day. And I appreciate Coach Wolf for that. But he's the kind of coach that you'll give your all to because he's giving your all to you.
Can you do a good Coach Wolford impression? Is there anyone on the offensive line that can do it? What's the key to a good Coach Wolford impression?
Oh man. Well, when he gets mad, his jaw comes out like just a little bit. That's when he gets mad. That's when he's giving it to somebody. But oh man, it's probably kids watching, so I don't want to give a Coach Wolf impression right now.
Not safe for work. We got it. Let's go to another question. JM wants to know, when did it click for you last year? You were a guy that you didn't start a ton of games, but I think most people that watched Alabama know that you were the starter. But when did you feel like, okay, I'm not thinking as much, this is coming natural? When did it click for you?
It really clicked for me during fall camp. So there was a period in fall camp where Emil, he wasn't feeling well, and Dolph, Kendall Randolph, I forget what was wrong with him, but there was a week in fall camp where I had to run with the ones. So I'm going against Byron Young, Justin Aboigbe, Will Anderson, Dallas Turner. I'm going against those guys every day, and I was holding my own. I could hang. So that's when it clicked for me. That's when it clicked for me during practice. As far as game time, I was just like, man, I need the opportunity. So what I did, I prepared every week like I was a starter. I did exactly what Emil did. I did exactly what Javion did. I did exactly what Dolph did just to prepare as a starter. So whenever my number was called, I'd be ready. And when my number was called during the ULM game, I think it was the third drive of the game, Coach Wolf was like, "You ready?" I was like, "Man, of course I'm ready." I said, "What?" I said something like that. I was like, "What do you think?" And he put me in the game, and that's when that rotation of me, Javion, and Emil really started, and that's when it kept going. So from that moment, it clicked. I just needed the opportunity. I just needed the platform.
I mean, any butterflies when he said your name, or you just, I'm ready?
I was like, I'm ready. No, but I think I got all my butterflies out during the spring game. The spring game of last year. That's when I had so many butterflies. I was very nervous, but those left after the first drive, and I was like, okay, I'm here. It's time to produce. It's time to perform. It's time to show. It's time to show what you're worth.
I love it. Let's go to grab another question. What's the most important, or I'm sorry, what's the worst part of the fourth quarter program for a lineman? We've obviously heard these stories. That's what Alabama football is built on. That's when sort of the standard is built on. What's the worst part for a lineman?
The worst part for a lineman is flex. I'll say flex, and flex is our warm up. And for every recruit that I host or talk to, I'm like, man, they're like, what's the one thing I have to be ready for? And I'm like, flex. You gotta be ready for flex. Flex is a full mini workout before practice, and it's a full speed. So we do flex before fourth quarter, and so you're already dog tired, and then you got to run to the first drill you have to do. So that just sets the pace of you breathing heavy for the next 30 minutes till you get a break.
Man, and for those who don't know, for big guys, it's not like a little guy. Once a big guy's tank's empty, it doesn't go all the way back up to full. I mean, it's tough sledding from there.
Not often, but that's the thing about fourth quarter. You have to find a way. You have to find a way to make that tank go back up to full or go back up to whatever it needs to be on, so you continue to function, so you can continue to perform. And that's why we really have to embrace and attack fourth quarter, because that sets the precedent of what the team will be like this year.
Yeah, and a lot of that's mental, right?
Definitely, it's all mental, because your body goes as far as your mind will allow it. So once you get past like the hurt, the pain, the exhaustion, once you get past that mentally, like, okay, keep going. You got more. Just keep going.
And I need you to record that, so when I run every day my 3 miles, when I'm on my last mile, I can hear that and keep going, because my mind is not telling me I can keep going. Let's go to another question. Sharon wants to know, what's the worst injury you've had playing football?
The worst injury I've had playing football is when I broke my hand during the Kansas State game. My first start, I broke my right hand. It was funny because it was kind of an unnecessary play. We were we were I remember it was outside zone, and I had nobody to block. So when you don't have work, find work. And so I saw JC driving somebody to the ground. I saw JC driving somebody, and I'm like, okay, let me go help JC. So we're driving him about where I think we're like 30 yards away from the play at this point. And as I fell down, my hand, I think I just landed on my hand wrong, and I had broke my third metacarpal. So that was that was play 3 of a 9-play drive. So we ended up scoring. I'm playing the whole drive with a broken hand. I keep closing my fist. I was like, Seth, something's popping in my hand. Every time I close it, it pops. He's like, you'll be all right. Just get it checked out when you go to the sideline. So I get checked out, and they're like, oh, we think it's broken, but are you still good to go? I was like, of course. This is all in the second quarter, mind you. They wrap me up. They put a pad around my hand, and I go back in the game, and adrenaline took over from there.
And this is how tough Tyler is, because I talked to him in the locker room after the game. He didn't even mention his hand. He wasn't favoring it. He didn't look like he was in pain. So, again, that's why the offensive line's the best position. They're not weak. They're tough guys, and they're the smartest. Let's go to some lightning round questions. Stephanie wants to know, what's your favorite sports movie?
My favorite sports movie. Ooh, my favorite sports movie is, oh my gosh, what's the movie with Al Pacino and Jamie Foxx? And I think Lawrence Taylor's in it as well.
Any Given Sunday.
That's my favorite. I don't know why I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh, man.
I think it's Any Given Sunday. Is it not?
Any Given Sunday. That's my favorite. Any Given Sunday. That's it.
They're throwing what? They're throwing alligators in the shower. You remember that part?
Yeah.
Something like that. Do you have any hidden talents?
Any hidden talents? None that I could think of.
Are you the barber of the team? I mean, you got to have some talent beyond football.
Not yet, but I feel like I'm a golf prodigy. I just need to hone in on my talent. I need to hone in on my craft. I feel like after I'm done playing, I'll start my golf career.
I love it. Who's the strongest on the team?
Strongest on the team is between 3 people. It's between JC. I'll say I'll put myself in that conversation, and Jaden Roberts. I think Jaden Roberts has it because this is the way he's built. He's a freak of nature, and he had a really great spring as well. And I'm excited to see what he does this upcoming season. Yeah,
I saw him in the locker room at A-Day, and man, he is. And all you guys are impressive looking at your prime of your life, but you're in great shape. But yeah, that's a good choice. Tyler Booker, ladies and gentlemen, third edition here of Half Hour Huddle. Tyler, man, thank you so much for your time. I want to ask you one quick question. If you had a message to deliver to Yea Alabama subscribers, what would you tell
them? I tell them thank you so much for all the support that you give us. Thank you for giving me this platform to talk to you guys. And I thank you for all the support with NIL, because that really is important to us as a team to be able to really reap the benefits that we sow on and off the field, So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and roll Tide.
Thanks for having us, or thank you for joining us, rather. That was Tyler Booker. We've had 3 big, both literal and figuratively, guests in our first 3 episodes. We're going to keep this thing rolling, hopefully throughout the summer, and keep you guys entertained with what's going on with student athletes at the University of Alabama. Remember, hit the merch shop. You got hats, you got T-shirts. Youth sizes will be in next week. Check out our socials for that. Until next time, this has been Half Hour Huddle.